Here is your forecast first with Chief Meteorologist Andy McCrae.
Closer and closer to the crest on the Mississippi River. That is coming up here a little bit later on tonight, and that's why we continue our team coverage. There's a look at some of the action. A lot of things going on in downtown Davenport, no doubt about that, as again we get ready for the crest here within the next 24 hours. That'll be the focus of our team coverage coming up right now. Here are the temperatures around the area. It's 60 degrees. You know, a lot of people are out working along the river getting ready for the crest. It is dry and relatively mild at 60. Here's my forecast first. It's dry this evening, mostly cloudy, and then we do have the chance for some scattered thunderstorms coming in a little bit later tonight. There could be some heavy rain for parts of the area. I'll let you know if that'll have an impact on the ongoing flooding here in just a few minutes on Local 4 News at 5.
Dealing with the aftermath of the flash flood in downtown Davenport.
I love being here, and 98% of the time we love the way our riverfront looks and how we deal with it.
What the city is doing to keep the situation from getting worse.
Plus, local businesses are feeling the impact of yesterday's breach, what one business is doing to avoid even more damage.
And how you can get financial help to recover from the damage.
Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
WHBF is local for you. This is Local 4 News at 5.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Needleman.
And I'm Tiffany Lundberg. Thanks for joining us for Local 4 News at 5. Around 30 people in Davenport have been displaced by near record-breaking flooding.
And Davenport used 2 rescue boats to help people get out of the water after those HESCO barriers gave way in downtown Davenport yesterday. We have team coverage for you on the flooding tonight. The silver lining is that no injuries were reported connected to the breach. Of course, the big problem that remains is the water won't be going away anytime soon. Local 4's Kelly Bowles joins us live from where the river came rushing into downtown a day ago. Kelly?
Jim and Tiffany, we are back here at 2nd and Pershing where crews are out here right now. We have the Red Cross here providing food, and we actually have crews back in the water. They are in boats. They are boating residents out to their submerged cars to see if there's anything that they can save. We spoke to Davenport Mayor Frank Klipsch this morning, and he kept saying this city is resilient, but there are still a lot of unanswered questions about where things go from here. The Director of Public Works says they are monitoring the situation around the clock. One of the biggest risks right now is the potential for sewer backup. The water pollution control plant is still operating, but it is under stress, and backup means more damage. The big question this morning, though, is it time for a permanent flood wall? While the mayor says that after the 1993 flood, the majority said no. Now he's saying they are going to have to see what the community calls for going forward, and if they want to put something permanent in place as a result of something he says happened twice in the span of more than 2 decades.
One of the business owners who has a number of businesses said, you know, this is a great community. I love being here. And 98% of the time, we love the way our riverfront looks and how we deal with it. So it's a balance of those 2 things. And our commitment as a community to say, we're not going to put up something that maybe permanently keeps the water out of Davenport, but also changes the whole dynamic of our riverfront.
And now we do have some good news. We have received updates from the water filtration plants, and they say that everyone's drinking water is safe. City leaders say they are going to continue to work with local, state, and federal aid to see what Davenport needs going forward to get them back on their feet in the coming weeks and even months. And now we're going to pass it over here to Local 4's Grace Runkle. Grace, what does the county need?
Well, Kelly, like you said, yesterday was just focused on reacting. Today, everything is all about recovery, and county leaders have already made it very clear that's going to be a very expensive process, but they have said it's going to be too soon to decide how much that's going to cost. But the director of the Scott County Emergency Management Agency has said he wants to make sure people get connected with all the assistance programs that are available to them. So that's why they're creating a one-stop shop in Davenport where people who are impacted by the flood can find out what financial assistance they qualify for and how to get it. They're also going to be helping people find food and shelter. The director says they're still looking for a spot to open that up at, but he hopes to have it ready next week.
Life and property, obviously come first. We've done what we can. We've certainly safeguarded life. We've done what we could for property at this point. We'll continue that fight, but now we need to try to move into recovery and ensure that we do the best job we can so that we can get back to normal as quickly as possible for our community.
Community Action of Eastern Iowa will be one of about a dozen groups that are going to be at the center. They are going to be focusing on helping people get the state funding that's available to them. If FEMA declares a declaration of emergency, then they will also be at the one-stop shop making sure people get the federal funds that are available to them. Coming up at 6, we're going to let you know what you can do to help anyone impacted by the flood. But now we're going to toss it over to the rest of our team coverage where people are looking at how the flooding is impacting transportation. Live in Davenport, Grace Runkle, Local 4 News.
Yeah, I'm here on River Drive in Moline, and you can see how deep the water is on this side of the river based off the sign you see right over there. The flooding doesn't have as big of an impact on this side as it does in downtown Davenport, but businesses here say that they're frustrated. The manager of Senior Julio says they've been slow all week, and he adds if they get more rain this week and the water gets close to the doors, they'll have to close for a couple of days. He says today they've gotten at least 10 calls so far about if they're open. The restaurant is hoping that the city of Moline makes signs to let people know that they are still open if anyone wants to come by and get a quick bite to eat. In Moline, Alexandria Icamoni reporting.
Quad City commuters are feeling the punch of the aftermath from the breached HESCO barriers that happened here in Davenport yesterday, and they're especially feeling that with the traffic.
It's just going to be a huge pain, but it's going to be something that we have to live with. We're on the river. It's going to flood.
Joshua Avalos says it took him an extra 15 to 20 minutes to cross the bridge this morning.
So hard, especially if you have people trying to get through now and narrowing everybody to one lane and back and forth.
Last night, the Centennial Bridge going towards the Iowa side has been reduced to one lane. The exit on 2nd and Gain Street has also been closed. Traffic is being directed towards 3rd and 4th Street, and because the government and the Rock Island Arsenal Bridge has been closed down, people can expect a lot of action going on Centennial Bridge during rush hour. HESCO barriers have been placed on the east and west side of the bridge. This is an effort to keep Gain Street accessible.
Hopefully, we're going to go by this crest, the water's going to start to drop, and we won't need this particular HESCO barrier, and we won't need any HESCO barriers. They'll be removed and we can go back to the beautiful riverfront that we have.
Traffic conditions should stay the same until water recedes. In Davenport, Yukari Nakayama, Local 4 News.
Right now, the main concern is this HESCO barrier right here for River Music Experience. They tell me if it breaches here on Main Street, it's just going to grow their flooding issues. As you can see right now around their building, there isn't too much water. About 30 minutes ago, they actually had sandbags that were dropped off. But when you actually go inside Army, that's when you see the real issue they are facing. There's actually water seeping into the basement walls. It's been an ongoing issue all week, but yesterday it worsened. Staff have now been scheduled to be there around the clock, and they're also relying on volunteers to move items out of the lower level and to clean up water. In fact, they tell me yesterday they had so many people come to volunteer that they had to direct them to other places that might need help. Now, one of the volunteers today tells me that she was just looking for a place and opportunity to help, and even when she's facing her own flooding issues.
Heartbreaking. I mean, you can see over there the water's just rushing in. There's little holes that it's just pouring right in. Like, been down here squeegeeing and it just keeps filling right back up. My basement is also flooded, but that's being pumped out already, so there's nothing I can do over there, so I figured why not come somewhere that I can actually help. It's just a waiting game at home.
RME has created an online sign-up sheet for volunteers. We'll have a link to that on ourquadcities.com. Jim Tiffany.
Sean, what other issues are businesses dealing with from this flooding?
Yeah, some of the other businesses I spoke with today that have been hardest hit tell me their main issue right now is just finding people and pumps to dry out and get that water out of their property. But in a few days, they say they're going to need fans and dehumidifiers just to help dry everything out once this water recedes. Now, earlier today, Front Street Brewery and Rome posted on Facebook that they'll be closed for the foreseeable future. They probably won't know the extent of damage either until the water recedes. Those buildings were actually some of the closest to the HESCO barrier that breached yesterday. Right now, live in Davenport, Sean Loking, Local 4 News.
Sean, thanks. It was a direct hit for them. Now, this breach is certainly a huge setback for businesses near the riverfront.
It's also creating some challenges for homeowners. Blaze was a lot to handle for firefighters in Bettendorf this morning. That fire broke out around 1:30 on 179th Street Place. Firefighters were standing in 4 feet of water as they tried to battle a garage fire. The blaze was actually threatening a home. As the siding was melting, firefighters worked to protect that house. No injuries were reported, but the cause is still unknown.
About 30 natural gas customers and 40 electric customers had no service in downtown Davenport as of noon today. Mid-American Energy turned off the service in places where police requested it, where Mid-American crews determined there was a safety risk, or when the customer wanted it. An electrical inspection will be needed where property took on water before power can be restored. Natural gas customers will need to call the company to resume the service. Now, a warning to stay out of the floodwater, especially in basements, because of the possibility of an electrical hazard there.